Whew, whew, whew. Wait and get a few people up here for us. It's a wonderful Thursday evening. First video of 2017. Oh, alright, we got a few people on. I ain't gonna wait too long. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another ARC Facebook Live Q&A. Tonight I'm gonna go over a few things about your valve training stuff on your AKRA, NKA, Mars style engines. Just kind of little tricks and stuff, tips on setting your overall running lift, how I adjust lash, and a little trick I do to help a little bit of drag in the rocker assembly. I'm not going to answer a whole lot of questions right up front. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of little demonstrations, show you, then I'll do a demonstration and answer some questions and go back to another demonstration. My cat's in here again tonight, and I'm in his spot, I guess, and he keeps clawing me trying to get up here. But so if you see something jump up on me, it's not a monster, it's just my cat. I get a lot of calls about this, how do you set lash, do you set it with a feeler gauge, do you set it, with the dial indicator, do you do the little twisty on the push rod? I've got my own way I set it. It's a little different what most people do. I'll show you here in a few minutes. And I also get a whole lot of calls from the DIYers about, your CL2, your CL3s, BSP2s, BSP3s, the Vols cams, all of them. With certain rockers, the lift is not where it needs to be. It's either going to be too much or a little too little. And I'm going to show you tonight how to adjust that lift. If you got too much lift, how to back it up some. If you don't have enough, how to give you a little bit more. I guess I'll go ahead and start. I cough a lot tonight. I've had some type of little throat thing going on where I've been coughing when I talk a lot, so y'all just excuse me on that. Let me get this right. There we go. Alright, I'm going to start off tonight showing you about checking the lift, the overall running lift. There's a lot of ways people do it. I'm going to do it the way I do it. I don't really care how everybody else does it. This is my video, so I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. Your running lift on your AKRA, NKA style engines is 238 thousandths on the intake, 242 thousandths on the exhaust. And that's running lift. That is lift that's checked off the retainer on each valve. Now, running lift is different than overall cam lift. Overall cam lift, you would check off the push rod, off of these holes. Most tracks just check the overall running lift, because that's where the plus or minus is going to be at up here. Most cams, if you buy a reputable cam, they're going to be right on the running lift. I mean the cam lift. It's just the running lift of what the tracks like to check. And simply, first of all, you got to have the proper tools and gauges to do it. We have this stuff available when we can. It's hard to keep this stuff in stock because a lot of people buy it as soon as we get it. Now, usually how I check running lift, you're going to need, of course, the gauges. See if I can get it on here, y'all can see it better. You're going to have you got to have the bracket, the dial indicator. You're going to need a 10 millimeter and a 14 millimeter wrench. Usually what I do is I preset the running lift at about 1/1000th. You know, put everything on, kind of snug it up with your hands. Set your dial indicator on it, on the retainer. It's got to be on the retainer, not the rocker arm. Of course, if you've got the right tools and instruments, they're going to go where they need to be. I typically preset the rocker. We'll preset it at 1/1000th preload, which means when you set it at 0, when I tighten it down, it's typically 1/1000th beyond where it needs to be. Then with the spark plug out, I'll rotate the engine one time, come back to top dead, set my gauge at 0. Then I'll usually rotate it again just to make sure everything zeroes out. Alright. That's not the way a lot of people do it, and that's not the way a lot of people is going to do it in the tech room. Some of them preset, some of them set it at 0. I always preset because that gives me 1/1000th to the good. Then you just simply rotate the engine in the direction that it runs. I usually start with the intake, and like I said, you're looking for 238 maximum. I always set mine around 4/1000ths under, so I'm looking for 234. These have already been preset before I came. That's exactly dead on 234. Check twice, always. 234. Alright. Another thing I like to do, once I get my, if the rocker arm I put on there is where it needs to be as far as the lift, I'm pretty much done. But a lot of the times, the rockers you might have a little too much lift or a little less lift, like I was saying a while ago. So before I go grinding on rockers, which I'll show you that in a minute, typically I'll twist the retainer and check it in another spot. I'll take that out for a second. Kind of hard to do sometimes. There you go. I typically twist it at least 90 degrees. Put my gauge back in, and then reset everything. Undo it. Snug it down. Like I say, I'm not looking for exactly one. If it's a 1/1000th preload, that's fine. I just like to do it because it puts me a 1/2 to 1/1000th to the good when I get to the tech room. That's why I set it. Most people say they set their valves 5/1000ths under. That's why I set mine 4, because I preload everything. That's just the way I've done it. And to this day, I've never got caught in the tech room with too tall a cam, so the way I do it must work right. Alright, zero it back out, rotate again. The way the engine rotates as it's running. See, that way I gained a little over 1/1000ths by rotating the retainer. You can rotate these retainers, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and sometimes they'll gain 1/1000th or 2, sometimes they'll lose 1/1000th or 2. That's why I always, I hope tech guys, when they're teching this stuff, they don't just check it one time. I do everything's in 3s. I tell people, if I'm teching, I'm going to check your lifts in 3 different spots on the retainer. I'm going to check your duration 3 different times. It's kind of hard to CC 3 different times, but if that's what it takes, that's what I'll do. But I do everything in 3s. Rotate the retainer, because you can gain a little bit because they move around and all. Just make sure if you're in a tech room that most tech guys should know that already, but just make sure that they're aware of that it is, I believe, in the rules, or it should be a spirit and intent thing to where they turn it and you know, give you the benefit of the doubt. All right. Now the exhaust, to save time, will be the exact same thing. You know, you snug everything down with your fingers. You know, make sure your rockers are good and straight. Put your gauge in on the retainer. Zero it out. You can tighten it down to where it's dead on zero. Like I say, I just like doing the extra thousandths to give me just that much more room in the tech room. A thousandths, 2 thousandths, 5 thousandths extra lift or minus lift is not going to affect these engines any. I mean, I've tested this to where I've put them 10 thousandths over lift and I put them 10 thousandths under lift, and the dyno says the same thing. So, but I like to preload mine at least a half to a thousandths over, then do all my checking, and I know I'm in the good. And I typically set both sides of the lift 4 thousandths under max, because these rockers, as I said in one of my other videos, when they're, you know, at the RPMs that we're turning, these things are floating, you know, a lot, and they beat around on the valve and they'll wear in places. And sometimes after a couple of 3 races, I've seen the lash, I mean the lift increase, and sometimes I've seen it decrease. But it's usually around 2 or 3 thousandths to where, you know, either increases or decreases. That's why I like to give myself the 1 thousandths preload, then reset to 0, and then go 4 thousandths under. Like I say, the process is the same for both sides, but you're looking for 238 maximum on the intake, 242 on the exhaust, minus 4 thousandths. That's just what I do. Now, when you're checking your lift, and let's say the lift is a little tall, you're supposed to be 238 on the intake, and you wind up, you know, 241 or 240, anywhere in that area. There's ways you can take, instead of, you know, going through 10, 20, 30 different rockers to find, you know, the right lift. There's things you can do to the actual rocker itself to decrease the lift to get it down to where it needs to be. You hear people talk about grinding rockers all the time, and there's a thing in the tech book about grinding the tips. You can't grind but so much. You got to have so many thousandths here, but it usually don't take a whole lot of grinding if the rockers are, you know, a legit rocker. But right here, use my wrench. You see right here, I got it marked. There's a minus right there. That takes lift away. If you grind the tip right there on the end, the very tip, that will stop, you know, when the rocker goes down. If you grind the little flat spot there, it actually stops the lift right before, you know, maximum lift on the cam. That will take lift away from the total lift at the valve. So you grind the tip, and you don't need to be real aggressive with it. I do it actually with my crankshaft polisher. I got, you know, polishing belts, and I just got a regular old sanding belt that I actually flip the crankshaft polisher on and stick it up there and touch it, and it leaves a little flat spot there. And you can do the same thing to a rocker if you're a few thousandths under. Say you're shooting for 234 on the intake and you're at, you know, 230. You want to get, you know, 4 more thousandths. If you want to gain some lift, the plus here, that's adding lift, you want to grind in the very center where it touches the valve. That will add a little bit of lift to the total lift at the valve. Now, if you have a question on where you actually need to grind, you know, where the center is and where the tip is, it's another trick I'll show you that I do. Stay away. Cat is possessed. I'm crazy. But let's see if I can get up here where I can show you a little better. My in-studio props are not the best in the world. Let me take this off. Alright, if you're wondering, where it's actually touching on the valve, there's two things you can do. Well, it's really only one thing, but there's two different processes. You can take a Sharpie and color the entire ball right there on the retainer, on the rocker. Stick it on here, snug it down, to where it's zero lash or whatever. And if you're needing to add lift to it, meaning you need to grind in the center where it touches the valve at zero lift, just snug it down and wiggle it back and forth just a little bit. That's why you want to turn this down until it touches the valve. Even if it preloads it, it's no big deal. You just wiggle it back and forth, and when you take it off, where you colored it with the Sharpie, that spot is going to be shining, and that's the area that you hit when you want to add lift to it. And same process if you want to take lift away. You need to grind the tip, color it with a Sharpie, put it on, snug it down, rotate the engine all the way to maximum lift. Same thing. Wiggle it back and forth. And what that's going to do is, just like the other one, it's going to rub the Sharpie mark off of it and show you where you need to grind. The grinding these things, like I said before, you don't have to be super aggressive with it, because a little bit does a lot. And a lot of people use a Dremel. They'll sit it down and they'll hit the end of it with a Dremel and just go slow until you learn how much you need to take off. I can, if I'm 5 thousandths over, I can go to my belt center. I've done it thousands of times. I can hit it a few times and be close. But you don't want to use a real heavy grit. If you use, like a die grinder or something, you can use, medium to get it, started and get your lift set. But once you get your lift set, you need to come back with something kind of buff it. You can do it by hand, buff it, or with a little Dremel, but you don't want them, the sanding lines in it, because those will wear and make it wear quicker, and it could cause some lift gain or lift loss over a run. That's kind of in a gist on setting your lift. It's, like I say in every video, this ain't rocket science. This is a simple procedure. This ain't the way a lot of the pro guys would say do it, but this is a way that I like to show people that don't have $100,000 worth of machinery in their shop. They got a Dremel, they may have a drill press, and some type of belt sander. You can do this with any of that. All you need, of course, to begin with, is the proper tools. These are fairly affordable. We sell the kits at the shop. You can get them from Sox Performance. You can get them from Larry Jones. They got tech equipment. I believe the Box Stock Project sells them. Dyno Cams, I believe, sells them. They're pretty available and affordable. And if you're going to be, building engines to compete with, you need basic equipment to ensure your engine is legal when it goes in the tech room, because you don't want to spend all this time and money and build your own engine and go to a racetrack and outrun the pros or the track pro or whatever, and get to the tech room and be tossed out for 2 thousandths too much lift. Yes, they will toss you out for 2 thousandths. So I just like to show people things in ways that you can do stuff with common everyday tools. And before I come to ARC, I build engines for a few other people, build them on my own for a little while, and I'm so used to using stuff like this that I use a drill press to cut valve reliefs into pistons with, and I use blocks of wood sometimes to cut in the valve reliefs and stuff. And the owner of the company used to laugh at me. Now he just shakes his head and walks by, because you got some CNC sitting over here, why don't we do it with that? And I'm just so used to doing it that way, and I still do a lot of my stuff that way, believe it or not. But that's why I like to show people simple, easy ways to do things, to help you in the tech room or help your performance or whatever. I got a bunch of questions piled up here. I'll take a few minutes to. It's just mostly people saying they hear. Cody Stevens. Yeah. Glad to see you on here, Cody. They keep changing them rules in Nashville. If they're going to wind up letting the Run What You Brung class be whatever engine, no weight limit, I'm going to put your seat in my cart and we're going to go get some money. Alright, since we ain't got no questions here, I'm going to show you how about setting the lash on these things. Again, if there's any questions on what I've done before, I know I always go through stuff too fast, but like I said, this video is going to be posted. You can go back and look at it as many times as you want. Setting lash, there's a lot of different ways people do this. But the way I do it is a little different than most. Simply, all I do is, now this isn't no race prepped engine. This is an engine that I took out of the box at 4 o'clock before I left the shop. This is a completely stock engine. So if something don't look right or whatever, it just hadn't been race prepped. Alright, first thing, loosen up all the rockers. They ain't got to be falling off, but they need to be, you know, loose, so they're not touching anything. Lots of lash. Put the spark plug in the engine, because we've got to be able to feel compression. Alright, with the rockers loose, flopping around, what I do is I just rotate the engine, and you'll feel the compression on it. And it goes past that's the air leaking past the plug. I don't have it tight. But what you want to do, you want to watch how the rockers work. You got the intake going down, you got the intake coming up, and you'll see the exhaust just kind of bump. That's the compression release. That's where you want to stop it at to set your lash. I call it falling in the hole, because you're rotating the engine, you're rotating it, you feel it get tight, and it falls in the hole and stops. Right past the compression release at top dead center. Alright, with both of them loose, I'll start with the intake. I'll snug it down with my hands and get everything, you know, fairly centered. Just kind of snug it. And I won't actually tighten the bolt, but I'll run it down till I feel it kind of start to grab. Alright, now you shouldn't have any compression on the engine at all. That means the intake valve is open. It's not sealed. Alright, so no compression. And what I do is I take the 14, because this isn't locked down, it's just snug, and I'll loosen the rocker up until, of course I'm doing it now because I know what it feels like, but I'll loosen it up and I'll spin the engine. And you know, you'll feel the compression start to come back. And as soon as the compression comes back, see, that's why I want you to roll it over several times before we start doing this, so you can feel how the compression is on the engine. Because see, right now the valve is almost sealed and there's a little bit of compression there, but that's still too tight. Loosen it up just a touch. You want to, you know, see, now you can wiggle it and you can feel it dragging across the valve. Now we got good compression now. Alright. Once you get there, I snug it down a little more, because the adjuster nut sits in the rocker, but when you tighten the jam nut on the top, it will cause it to tighten up just a little bit. So I'll tighten it down and actually tighten it and rotate the engine. Alright, we lost compression. That means when I tighten my jam nut down that it tightened the rocker. So we'll ease it open just a little bit, tighten it down. Alright, still a little too tight. Sometimes I can do this in 1 or 2 tries, but for some reason tonight it's working against me. Alright, there we are. Now we got a little bit of compression back. So what we're going to do is we're going to just barely ease it open. Tighten it back down. Now we got good compression back. Alright. Once you get there, you want to go ahead and snug it good. Alright, and I still sometimes reach down there and do the push rod test, see if I can spin it. I can barely turn it. You just want to be able to, you don't want it to spin freely, you want it to feel, you want to feel a little bit of drag on it. And you want to be able to move the rocker back and forth across the valve and feel a little bit of drag. Just very little. That's just about dead zero right there. Alright, and once we get the, we got a strong magnet pulling that wrench up like that. And once we get the intake set and locked down, we rotate the engine again, good compression, go to the exhaust, same thing. Just snug it till you feel it touch good. Snug the jam. Spin the engine, no compression. And we just loosen the adjuster. Alright, we got good compression right there. We're going to snug it down, see what she does. Alright, see, that didn't work for me. Good compression. Alright. Always double check them to make sure you're tight, because I have got an engine to the dyno several times and the rocker would still be loose. Nobody to blame but me. Alright. Got them set. Not used to doing it from this angle. Yep. Slight drag. Man, those are perfect. You've done a good job on those. Slight drag. Alright. That's setting lash. The reason I don't like using a feeler gauge, I get asked this question a lot, is these springs in these things, you know, are 10.8 pounds. They're very light. I've had valves set at 0 and been able to slide a 4 through it. And I just don't think it gives an accurate measurement with the springs being so soft, because, you know, with the angle that you have to work the feeler gauge down in, you know, it'll curve down in, or whichever way you go in, it's able to push the valve spring down because the springs are so light. Now, if you was running, you know, 22s, 26s, or 36s, yeah, use a feeler gauge. I always use a feeler gauge on those, because those type of engines I typically set at 2, 3, or 4 thousandths. All of my box stock engines, all of them, whether it's a unrestricted or a plate. Sometimes the greens and reds I'll set at 2 or 3, but most of all the unrestricted blues and purples I set at 0. As close to 0 as I can get it, which you want to feel a slight drag. He just fell. That sounded like it hurt. You want to feel a slight drag across the valve, and you want to be able to feel a slight drag when you twist the rocker. I mean the push rod. I'm scatterbrained again tonight. But I like setting them at as close to 0 as I can get it with the engine cold, because most cams that you get, you know, you see, you know, the dyno cams, BSPs, the ISKI cams, whatever cams for stock style engines, you see they recommend 3 thousandths lash on it, which is, that's pretty much where I found the best power at, but that's 3 thousandths hot. We set these at 0 because when the engine gets hot and warms up, the valve lash actually opens up. It's hard to tell how much. I've done tried to do a lot of measuring on it. They open up anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 thousandths. You know, so I tell people on an average of 3 thousandths. So if you set your lash at 3 thousandths cold, when the engine gets hot, it's opened up to 6 thousandths. And some builds, that might be okay. But I found that the tighter you get the lash cold, the better the engine runs, you know, throughout the entire pool. You might can add some lash to it and get a better bottom or mid, or, you know, some people even preload these things. They'll preload them, you know, 1 or 2 thousandths cold, and they're hard to crank. They have no compression on them. They're very hard to crank, but that's why I like to sell at 0, because that makes the engine easy to crank, and it puts the lash where it needs to be when the engine is hot, which is, you know, around 3,000. But you know, there's a lot of people that use feeler gauges to set these things, and you know, sometimes they're not right. I'm not saying they're doing it wrong. I'm just saying that, you know, because of the light spring, sometimes it gives you a false reading. Yes, Bradley, I know the chili bowl is on, but you're on here watching me and not it. So that makes me feel good. All right. Like I say, I've had this cough going on for a few days. But that's the gist of setting lash. Not that hard. Very simple. You know, if you still prefer to do it with feeler gauges, that's great. Just make sure that you're not moving the spring when you set it in there. That's why I like doing it. I've never used feeler gauges on a stock engine for probably since I've been building them. You know, because when I first started with them, back in 09 or 10 or whatever, that's one of the first things I noticed. Back then we had to run stock springs, and I'd set it at 0, man, I could run a 2 or a 4 and almost get a 6 in it because the spring would go down. But I feel that this way is a little bit more accurate, because, you know, you're feeling for the drag on the push rod, and you're feeling for the drag on the valve, and that'll get you as close to 0 as almost humanly possible. All right. What was I going to do next? Oh, yeah. Rocker arm drag. These rocker arms, and let me take these off right here so I can show you. These rocker arms and the balls and everything are made in China. Whew, imagine that. I know some of y'all didn't know that, but this stuff's made in China. The engines are. These shiny billet parts on the side are made in Albany, Georgia. But these rockers are stamped on a machine out of a big piece of sheet metal, and where the ball goes in down there, the adjuster ball, that area down there is got a lot of high and low spots in it, dipples, areas that just ain't smooth at all. Now the adjuster ball here, this is called the ball because that's what that goes up in there, and that's what it rotates on. They're fairly accurate, you know, as far as something from China goes. But there's several different ways that we can cut down drag here, because there's several different ways, but it all comes back to the same principle. What you're trying to do, you need to get down in there and smooth that out. A lot of people put it on machines. A lot of people, I know some people just got a little rig that they put in a drill press and with a sanding thing, and you know, you got to be careful with doing stuff like this, because you go crazy with it, they're going to see it in tech and they're going to throw you out, which is why I like my way better, because where I'm working at, there's nothing being touched but the area of the ball that is touching the actual retainer. And all I use to do it with is this. This is a rocker stud out of one of these heads. And what I do, I take my handy drill here, install the thread in that goes in the head, and I take a flat file and I hit it and I booger up the threads on it so that the rocker nut only goes so far on it and it stops. Because what we're going to do here is technically lapping the rocker ball to the rocker arm. And what you do is you put the rocker on first with the, I guess, open side out. And then you'll take some medium valve grinding compound, you know, about 300 grit maybe. I think that's what I use. My medium is a 300, then I got a 600 I finish up with this. Take the compound and just kind of rub it around on the edge of the ball there. Get it good and, you know, thick, because you're not really worried about making a mess here. Put the ball on till the threads stop. The reason you want to mess up the threads is because you're going to be spinning this with a drill, and you don't want it to tighten up so that you can't move it. You want it, you know, about halfway of the threads, just kind of hit them with a file, booger them up so that the ball stops. Alright, and then all you do is simply pull the trigger and move the rocker back and forth. You want to pull out on it so that it makes contact with the ball, and then rock it like it works on the engine. Just move it, you know, you want to drill on the high speed, run it, you know, you can run it fast as you want to, whatever, but just work the rocker, you know, back and forth, then, you know, release it and come back on, back and forth, release it and go back on. And do that for, you know, a minute or so. Take it off, clean that out, put some fresh on it, you know, because that, you know, valve grinding compound will actually wear out after, you know, several minutes or whatever. You kind of wipe it off with a rag, put some fresh back on it, you know, run your thing back down till it stops where you messed up your threads, and same thing. Just work it back and forth. And what that's doing, that is you pulling out hard against it and, you know, putting pressure on it, and you're, you know, using the same motion that it does in the engine, and that is making the area, the contact area of the ball and the rocker smoother. Now I do it until it's completely smooth. You don't really have to do that, but I want it, you know, I don't want a mirror finish, but I want the contact area to be as smooth as the rocker ball is. Because what that does, it don't necessarily cut down on friction per se, but what it does is it makes everything in there smooth. Here's one that actually will go on an engine that I got sitting on my table. I don't know if you can see it good. You see down in there, that silver ring, that is the contact area where the ball goes. And like I say, I use, you know, about a 300 grit, and I get it, you know, to where, you know, there's very, very few, I don't want any high and low places in it. And then I'll clean it up, hit it with some carb cleaner, and I'll put some fine compound on it. You know, I think mine's a 600, and just kind of clean it up, you know, polish it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And that gives you a smooth contact area for this rocker to go up and down on. And why that's important, not necessarily for up and down friction, but what that's going to help do is, let's say you had a little high spot, you know, on the back side here. You know, when your rocker would go down, you'll see them kind of twist to the side. I'm not saying that's going to take all that out, because some of that is geometry. You know, the head's just not lined up just right with the rest of the engine. That's a made in China engine. That's not, you know, too much you can do about that. But what that's going to do, that's going to keep that rocker in a, more likely to stay in a straight up and down position. You keep it from kind of rocking to the side. And with that smooth surface like that, when the oil gets down there to it, it will reduce friction. But the biggest reason I do it is to keep everything symmetric. You know, it keeps it from rocking, keeps it from rolling around. You know, you don't want a rock and roll rocker. That's hard to say. Say it 3 times fast. But I've been doing this for many years on engines, because I would, like I say, when I first started building these things, we'd put them on the dyno, and, you know, I'd set my lash at whatever, make a few pulls, and let the engine cool down, And after it cooled off the next morning, whatever, I noticed that the lash was opened up, you know, 2, 3, 4 thousandths from where I set it. I'm like, stuff can't be wearing that much, but actually it was. What it was doing, it was wearing the imperfections out of this, but it wasn't doing it straight. You know, if it had a really high spot on one side and just some rough area on the other, the little small rough area would wear out, but the big high spot wouldn't, and the rockers would sit in there crooked. And so, you know, I went to work on figuring out how to stop that, and this is what I come up with, and this is how I do every single engine. I do not put it on a CNC. I do not put it in a drill press. I do it right here with my compound and my drill. I just scared the heck out of the cat. He just jumped. That was funny. But, you know, that's as simple as you can get right there. And it really pays off in the end, because it gives the rocker and the ball a really smooth area to work on. And it's just like a road. A smooth road is easier to drive down than a rough road is. But another thing you can do to help, like I say, with, you know, the rockers rocking side to side, and when I said about your geometry, see if I can get here. If you look, the guide plates in these engines are they're a lot narrower than they used to be. They used to be a big square, and the push rod had a lot of movement in it. But over the past couple of years, they've come out with these smaller guide plates, and it holds the rocker, you know, and it's got, you know, friction reducing stuff on it. It holds the rocker at a straighter angle. The problem is, if the studs are not symmetric with everything else, you know, say the studs are a few thousandths this way, that's going to kick your rockers over. You know, you got some engines that the rockers don't stay straight. They always turn to the side, both of them. That means your push rods are not lined up with everything. You can, you know, loosen up the studs if you got a head that was already put together. Loosen them up, and you can move that guide plate around a little bit. I have actually gone in and enlarged those holes a little bit. You don't want to do it a lot, because you've only got a little area that it holds it down on. But you can enlarge those holes a little bit and be able to move the guide plate back and forth and line them up with the rocker arms. Sometimes you're not going to get them perfect, but you can make them better. Excuse me again. The more I talk, the more I'm going to cough. And like I said, you can enlarge the holes a little bit with a Dremel, and it line them up to make the rocker so that they sit straighter or as straight as you can get them. Again, that's important, because a rocker arm that is sitting sideways on a valve means that the push rod is pushing it at an angle, and the rocker's twisting and turning, and you're not getting, you know, accurate, you know, valve geometry running, whatever. It will cause valve float a little quicker, because that rocker is being pushed around, and when it, you know, gets full lift, it'll twist, and it'll throw that valve down. You know, at 6,500 RPMs, that little twist is like a punch, and it will create a little more valve float. You know, straightening up those push rods, trying to get them, you know, and you gotta do it with the rocker on it. Well, you take the rocker off if you see them crooked, and you move. You know, if the rockers are cocked one way, you know, you got to move the guide plate this way. So you try to move the guide plate as much as you can. If you have to enlarge the holes a little bit, that's fine. Just don't go crazy. Again, that's something that some tech guys will throw you out. But get them, move it around, put the rocker back on it, you know, zero lash, and roll it over a few times. You can take the plug out of it, spin it around with your finger, and watch the rocker. If it's still trying to twist, or if it, you know, turns to the side a little bit, you know, you try to move them over as much as you can and get them to where they're fairly, it stays. And this is after you've done the, you know, all the ball work and all. I usually try to probably do that before the ball work, because this is the last thing I do. Because you may have to, I usually have some of these sitting around. I'll probably do you know, 10, 12 sets and have them sitting around for when I'm doing this. If I need another rocker, and I have them in sets. You know, I'll keep this set together, and the other set I do, I keep it together, and I keep that set together. They're in a little bag. And if I need a longer or shorter rocker, if I'm trying something different, you know, I'll grab this set. But you know, getting your rocker geometry right, that's something you probably need to do before you even start doing your lift. Because if you get your lift set with them kind of crooked, if you straighten them up, it might change it. So getting your geometry is probably the first thing you need to do when you go in to set lift and stuff. Then set your lift, you know, get everything, you know, where you need it, and then polish up your rockers. But after you do this, you need to recheck the lift again. That's why I have several sets. So I start out with a polished set first. But not everybody has that luxury of having, you know, 10 or 15 sets of these sitting around. You got to work with what you got. So, you know, get your geometry right and stuff like that. With you getting your rocker straight and, you know, knocking the burrs out of this, polishing it up, all that kind of stuff pays off. You know, and these little engines, we're all looking for that extra tenth, and stuff like that may not give you the extra tenth, but it may give you the extra 200 or 300 RPMs you need to turn on up where some of these, you know, some of those other guys are making good power at 68, 6900, and yours is falling off at, you know, 64, 65, and you can't figure out why. That's your valve geometry or your rocker geometry might be, you know, some of the reason. That along with, you know, making sure everything is good and smooth. All right, since I'm finna start coughing again, as I'm talking too much, let's go back here and look at some more questions. Oh, Dakota Hill's finally here. I can start now. Most people just saying what's up. Well, what's up to everybody else? Cole, this is sorry, I never told you at first. Thank you. This is just a standard box stock project engine. You know, like I said, I took it out the box before I came in here to do this. It's just a bone stock, you know, 6.5, 196 cc clone engine from the box stock project. That's all that is. But wow. Valve geometry, very important. Had a guy call me the other day. Was talking. He bought a dyno, and you know he's been running somebody else's engine. He's starting to build his own stuff, and making pretty good power. He's talked to me, you know, quite a bit, and I've kind of pointed him in the direction here and there, and he's making good power, but his engines fall off a cliff at 6400. I mean, the dyno sheets he talked about, it was a lot. And we talked a little bit about, you know, this, and this is what gave me the idea to kind of, you know, do this tonight about the getting your geometry right and, you know, making sure everything's, because it picked his up. I mean, he still wasn't making, you know, what we're making at 68, but he was a lot closer. I think he picked up about another 300 usable RPMs. He was still off a little bit, but it helped him a lot, because I believe he had one of those engines that the guide plate was slid way over, and his rockers was twisting at the top, and it helped him a good bit. Something else I meant to say, you got to be careful when using these stock rockers. Like if you're, I know some people, they'll run like a Mod 2, or I don't recommend running a BP2 cam, but a Mod 2 is probably all I'd really run with these. There's some people that run a 308 with them, the 26-pound springs. I've actually had some of these rockers come in on a stock engine that would, where's my stud? That would actually bind up on the stud with a stock lift cam. You watch out for stuff like that. You know, these rockers shouldn't be used on a high lift cam, But like I say, I've had some of them bottom out, and you see the stud move right before top, full lift on these things. That could be, the valve high, the valve low. The push rod might be a little shorter or a little taller. But look out for that. Right before it gets to top, if you see the stud move, one thing you can do, this is something tech guys don't like me telling, but because some people go crazy with it, you get a Dremel and just kind of touch the area right there. You'll see that, one side of it when it goes through is thicker on one side than the other. Just kind of make the other side thick also. And then do all your, with the drill, and it'll kind of cover it up. But that'll, I don't know why some of them do it. I have maybe 4 out of 10 do it sometimes. And then sometimes I'll have 15 inches come through that they won't do it. But again, that's a product of China. But that's just something I want y'all to look out for. Especially, I don't recommend running these rockers with a 308, but if you do, make sure that it's not coil binding and bending that stud. Because we get a lot of broken stud on a phone call sometimes too, and that's one of the things contributing to it. Because if this rocker is bottoming out, something's got to bend, and it's the stud. And it keeps, at 6,000 RPM, just bending it back really fast, and it finally breaks it off. Just something to look for there. Any clone limited advice? Well, it takes a little more than a cam to make power at 69. I've made power at 69 with the CL1. The one that come out before the CO2, it was what, 2012 or 13? I made power at 6900 with it. But you got to have a really light valve train and borderline cheated valve train and all this geometry. Not making as much as I would with a CL3 or one of the NKA cams, but it was a good engine. But as far as clone limited, I'm assuming you're going by the limited type rules. With that, I hadn't built honestly any clone limiteds. I usually do, outlaws or stock appearings mostly. Nobody's called me for one. I guess I need to build one. But if I was going to do one, I'm not sure about the rules, but I think that you can run a 308 in it with a good set of 36-pound springs and them Champion rockers with a 304 ported. I don't know if you can run the long rod in them or not. I'm assuming you can run the long rod in the Wiseco. But that's a hard combination to beat. A 304 Tilliston on alcohol with a 308 and some good springs. She'll turn to the moon and back with that. Typically 85, 8800 is what I would turn one with that. But your other question there, it takes a little more than a cam to get power at 69. That's the stuff I was going over tonight. That helps you a lot. Now, if you're using the chromoly push rods and that guide plate, that racing guide plate, I've never used one. I've seen a couple of them. Those are nice pieces. There again, it could just be, like I say, the holes where the actual studs bolt in, they could be off center. Because no telling how fast they make these heads. They may have something just punching down and, a couple of thousands one way or the other, and you've got some alignment problems. But when they're making these heads over there, racing's not what they got in mind. A generator, a concrete mixer, a floor buffer, that's what they got in mind. Something that's going to crank up and run at 3,600 RPMs all day. So they could care less about if it's exactly where it needs to be. Oh, 1,000's here, 1,000's there. That's fine. Let it go. But more than likely, that's what it is the studs are not in the right place, which there's not much you can do about that. Like I say, you can drill out the plate some and move it one side or the other and probably help your problem a little bit. Ron, well, if you're breaking stock crankshafts, I say this in every video, it seems like, and I get calls the next week, you know, after I say it, but I've only broken one crankshaft in the engine, and that was an engine I built for a guy in West Virginia, a stock period. He run it 2 seasons, you know, went through 3 rebuilds. And I went through 2 rebuilds, and then it broke the crank, and I built him a whole new engine block and all. But he abused that thing. I mean, he turned it hard, and never broken one in a stock engine. I know some people that have, and most of that's probably clutch related. You know, these really hard hitting clutches, not down on anybody's clutches. That's why I'm not gonna name no names of any clutch, but them really hard hitting clutch when they rev up to 5,000 RPMs and they just hit really hard. That is rough on the crankshaft, because all that 20 plus horsepower is instantly snatching back on that crankshaft. Also, you know, really rough tracks where, you know, the cart's bouncing and the back tires come off the ground, or you run off the track, and when the back tires come off the ground, that thing will rev up, you know, 9,000 and hit the ground, and it's an instant. A lot of that contributes to crankshaft failure, whether it be a stock one or a billet one. Hard hitting clutches, rough tracks, people running the clutches, you know, outboard. You know, you got that gear on there outboard, the torque of the engine is, you know, way away from the bearing, and it's pulling that crankshaft back. And when it pulls it back, all that power, you know, the engine's rotating. So typically what it's doing is just twisting that crankshaft around, and it'll eventually break. You know, not many people run them outboard anymore, but there are some people that do because of really small drivers, like, you know, a 10 or 11. They run those outboard clutches, and I do not like them. I'd rather run a jack shaft than an outboard clutch, because that just, it's a pivot point. You know, it's just like a pipe. You get a 10-foot pipe, you can bend it. You get a 10-inch pipe, you can't. The closer you are into that bearing, the less pressure it puts on that crankshaft. Not saying it's going to eliminate crankshaft breakage, but it really helps it a lot. But, you know, the Stockholm crankshafts, from my experience, are not that bad. I mean, they're inaccurate as far as the stroke, but, you know, I got a ton of modified engines out there with stock crankshafts in it. But, yeah, if they were made for the large diameter push rods, you probably ain't got nothing holding them, and it's just, you know, again, could be the studs are misaligned, but you know, either put the big push rods in it, or like I say, just move it around. You know, try something. Don't be scared to move stuff, or, you know, cut stuff or grind stuff on these things, man, because a lot of times that's how power is found. You know, everybody talks about these speed tricks and stuff like that. You know, lining up the push rods. You know, not many people talk about stuff like that. Not many people talk about too much anything, because it's tricks of the trade, as they call it. But you know, I'll get phone calls tomorrow. You know, you shouldn't be saying this, but oh well. You know, my show, I talk about what I want to. The Black Venom 1 to 2 rockers. My thoughts on the Black Venom rockers. Okay, Mr. Gage, here comes you a very big plug. I want a ball cap or a t-shirt or something. The Gage rockers, the Venom rockers especially, are the best rockers you could buy. Period. Not sure if we can make them any better ourselves. They are some very good rockers, especially, like I say, the Black Venoms. They're true rollers. The roller on the shaft, and it's a roller on the tip. Made of very good material, engineered well. That's all I run, you know, and they're the best. It's not an opinion, that's a fact. They're the best. You know, depends on what you're running those 1 to 2s on. You know, if it's you know, what cam you got, it might not be enough ratio, it might be too much, but those are the best ones on the market as of now. So, Mr. Max, I want you know, a hat or shirt, you know, something for your free plug there. Hemi Predator. Wesley, what are you using the Hemi Predator for? You know, is it a mini bike? Is it a cart? Something riding the yard with? Are you racing? Suggestions for the Hemi Predator. The sky's the limit. We make all kind of billet, go fast, fun parts for them. If we don't make it, we can get it. Let me know what what you're using the engine for, and I'll probably help you out a lot better. Give me a call tomorrow, and we can talk about it on the phone and get you set up there, man. See more. I hate when it does that. I'm scared I'm gonna do something wrong. No, I don't think putting one large diameter in and one stock one would be okay. There's a reason that they make guide plates for large push rods, and the reason they make them for narrow push rods, because it's called a guide plate because that's what it does. It touches the sides and keeps everything in line. Most of them have some type of, like I think the racing ones have some type of brass insert or something, if I'm not mistaken. That's a friction reducer. You don't want, metal to metal, because it'll rub into. The burst ones we got, I don't think they have anything in them, but I think they're angle cut so that you get just minimal contact on it. I use those all the time. They work great. We sell those. Those are good ones. One to twos versus one to threes on open builds. All right, there again, it depends on what kind of cam you got. A ratio rocker does two things. It increases the total lift at the valve, and it speeds up the ramp of the cam. Depending on what kind of carburetor you like. Typically, again, it's a type of cam. If you got a high duration cam, a high lift, high duration cam, I don't recommend big ratio rockers on it. If you're running something like the the 356 from Dyno, that's got a pretty good bit of duration and a lot of lift. I don't recommend, one to twos maybe on a really big build if you've got a 3-inch engine with a stroke, a big 32 mil valve and a big Tillotson or Mikuni pushing it. But me personally, I like using moderate lift cams with ratio rockers. Like either the F275, which has got a lot of duration on it, or the 308's about as big a cam as I'll run ratio rockers on, especially 1 to 3s. You just get too much lift, and it takes, the more lift and duration you got, the more RPMs it takes to make the cam run. So if, I'll take a cam that's, around 275, 280, 290 total lift, with good duration, 250-ish, 245 to 250 duration, maybe 255, and put 1 to 3s on it over a, high duration, high lift cam, just because of the way the ratio rockers speed the ramp of the cam up. That fast opening of the valve really makes horsepower, especially in, engines with smaller carbs, like the 304. 304 is actually a smaller Tillotson. It's a good Tillotson. But you get up in the high lift cams, big valves, big bore, that's carburetor's a little on the small side, but like with 390 carburetors, I like using F275s, 308s with 1 to 2s on it, with like 390 carburetors. They work really good, but just depending on the kind of cam and rest of the setup you got. Mark, I don't believe we make anything for a 626 Vanguard. The V-twin. Not sure what the total CCs on that is. It'd be best to give me a model number. And with the lawnmower parts, we go off of model numbers. Like the model 30, model 36, 40, 44, 42, model 28. We make a few parts for the Vanguard V-twins, flywheels and connecting rods. That's basically all we're gonna have. But a model number will get me further. Hunter can probably, you can probably tell him I've got a red Vanguard, and he'll know everything we make for it because he's been giving out part numbers for 30 years. I have to have the model number. I hadn't made it to his level of intelligence when it comes to these parts yet. All right. Whoa. Okay. I just said I hadn't made it at his level of intelligence yet, and then one of the best builders in the country just come up here and agreed with me. Okay. Not too shabby. Thanks, Jimmy. And yeah, I did say that. He is one of the best builders in the country. Jimmy Rivers, one of the best people in the country. Um, he does a lot of good work. He uses a lot of our parts, promotes a lot of our parts really good. Appreciate that, Jimmy. And since I gave you a shout out too, calling you one of the best in the country, my t-shirt size is medium. And, whatever hat you want to send me, whatever. I'll take one of each, or just one, whatever. But, for your free plug. Another dual engine open cart. You'll probably never see another one from me. That was an experiment with that type of setup. Just wanted to see if I can make it work. There was a lot of people that run that type of setup that had problems. A lot of people that took it and made it work fine. We took a different approach to it, made it work, and it worked great. I've run, I want to say, 4 races with it. Didn't have a first problem. Other than changing the gears took a little longer than normal, but it worked great. But I probably won't ever build another one. I've actually still got the mount and everything at the shop. It's for sale if somebody wants to buy it. But right now, with all the 390 stuff we've been making, I've took the dual engines off that cart and put a 390 on it, with our stroker crank and our new billet side covers and all those flywheels we made for it. The 390 to me is a little better package for 4-cycle stuff. It's not no Java or no 450, but it's a lot of fun to ride. It makes really good horsepower and a lot of torque. But it's about 45 pounds lighter than the dual engines were. I believe I weighed the mount, the clutches, the engines, and everything as it come off the cart. It was 92 pounds sitting on the right side frame rail. And, on a wet type track, or a low bite track, it was really fast. Because, you had to have really sticky tires on it. It turned good, but when the track got hard and a lot of bite, it was hard to make the cart rotate through the center because of all that mass sitting over there. And we put the 390 on it and, lost 45 pounds right there, which made me able to put lead and other places on the cart to get my numbers right. And we're not making as much horsepower because those engines were, on my dyno, between one of them was, a little over 26, one of them was a little over 25. And, putting them together, X amount to the rear tires. We're not getting that much power to the rear tires now, but the 390 makes a lot of horsepower, but it's so much lighter that I can get the cart to turn and drive off the corners hard, and it's faster. And it's just as much fun to ride. It's not as much maintenance, I'll tell you that. The 390 is, you build them right, they'll run for a while, and they're fairly low maintenance. That dual engine cart, you had to constantly be checking chains and checking tensioners and all the time, but it was fun. Like I say, it was an experiment, and I don't think we'll do another. I'm not sure. Okay, your buddy won your buddy won the actual front engine. That was the stronger of the 2 engines. I really hated to let that engine go. But that raffle that we done, it went to a good cause. You see a lot of raffles happen, now, way before, you'll see many in the future, but the raffle we done for that engine, we donated every dime of it to the Fisher House. It was a charity that helps wounded soldiers when they come back. offer housing for the families while the soldiers are getting treated or getting seen about. That's what the Fisher House done, and every dime we raised for it went to that. But I still hate to see that engine go. That was a good one. That was a real good engine. Cole, yeah, you're probably right. I need an MRI. I know that stands for somebody's racing engines or something, but the Hemi Predator ordered the filter and RV header of the muffler, and it said the header was to be modified to fit the Predator. Seems to hold up fine. Alright, yeah, the Hemi, if you go back to a couple of videos I done earlier, a few months ago when I done the Hemi versus, or the Predator versus the clone, I kind of got into some of the similarities that the Hemi engine has with the clone. And exhaust pipes is one of the similarities. 99% of the exhaust pipes out there, headers or header kits that'll fit a clone, will fit the Hemi, because the head spacing, for the studs are the same on the Hemi or the clone. The Predator, the non-Hemi Predator, which is the RTC, versions, with the octagon shape, shiny valve cover, they tend to be a little further apart. They don't tend to be, they are. Every single one of them I've seen has been. So the instructions that we send out with the header pipes, talking about the Predators, that's the one we're talking about, is the Gen 3. You may have to enlarge one of the holes for them to fit, but it should fit right on the Hemi just fine. You got flames coming out, backfiring. Alright, when you put the filter and the header on it, did you enlarge the jets in the carburetor? Because if you take that stock air box off and put that, I'm assuming RLV header, whether it's the weenie pipe or whether it's a full header, doesn't matter. When you take that air box off, put a KN style open filter on it, the engine's going to be able to breathe in a lot more air and exhale more air, which means it's going to need more fuel. Typically, with going to an open filter and RLV header, you're going to want to enlarge the jets in the carburetor, to somewhere around a 22 thousandths on the low side, and probably around a 36 or a 37 on the main. That's probably where the backfires come. It sounds backwards, but that's usually a sign of it being lean. And especially since you put all this stuff on it, and if you haven't changed the jets, that's probably your problem with that. Ron, no, I don't think we carry the flathead brackets anymore. If we do, it's probably sitting on a shelf under 10 years of dust. You're gonna have to go to more likely Dyno to get that. If I was gonna get one, that's probably who I'd order it from anyway. But no, sir, we don't carry them anymore. Sorry. Okay, you rejetted the car, but come with the filter. Could be a timing issue. Those Predator engines with, if you still got the stock cast flywheel on it, I've seen the stock timer for those is usually around 20 or 22 degrees, give or take. I've seen some as low as 12 degrees because the flywheel wasn't cut right, nor was the crankshaft cut right, so the timing was way off. And if the timing is extremely low, that means that it's firing when the piston gets almost the top dead center, which means all the fuel hadn't burned up yet and is popping out the exhaust pipe. Like I said, it could be a timing issue. Check that and make sure you're timing somewhere around 22, 23 degrees on it. Gerald, I got a few more valve train tricks, but I got to have room for another video. I wanted to do a duration video tonight to show people how to check duration, but I'm a cheap butt, and I hadn't bought me a updated iPad or tablet yet, and this one for some reason, as many people have pointed out, doesn't show mirror image. Everything's backwards, as you see. And I thought it would be really, really confusing to do a duration check tonight on a degree wheel that the numbers are backwards on. that would be confusing even for me. So I'm gonna save, the few more things I want to talk about, which would be on the underside of the head and stuff, and a duration check until I'm, saved up enough money or either been talked to bad enough to go buy me a new iPad or tablet or something. If anybody wants to donate one, I'd be glad to take it. And I'll give you a shout out, every video that so and so, gave me this tablet that shows mirror image so everything reads right, because CRA is not who I work for. But yeah, that's why I didn't do the duration thing. That would have been really bad to have all the numbers backwards and the engine rotating the wrong way, and I'd have had people confused as heck. So maybe I'll get over my cheap spell one day. Well, Troy and David both, I mean, we appreciate y'all, because, without customers, without loyal customers, we wouldn't be in business. We've been doing this, or they have been doing this since '91. I come up there in 2010, but they've been doing this for a long time, and there's a reason that they've been doing it for a long time, because you got to put out a good product, and you got to get repeat customers, because, one-time buyers, you're not going to last long. You got to have repeat customers, and, that's why I get on here and do these videos and try to help people out. I get calls and stuff from pro builders that, like next week or tomorrow or something, I'll get a call about, my little drill trick about doing the rockers. Oh, you're supposed to put that in the machine and do it this way. And yeah, I understand that. Where I work at, I understand that machinery is better than hand tools. I know this. But not everybody has access to those types of machines, and you need to know how to do things to get you to this next level without spending $100,000 on a machine, or taking it somewhere and they're charging you, $50 to do this. It takes 10 minutes. You gotta be able to do it yourself. That's why, I could care less that, oh, you're not doing that right, or that's not the correct way. It works for me. We build a lot of engines. We win a lot of races with our engines. We've got a lot of happy customers. And I'm going to get on here and show my appreciation to get repeat customers. We'll do what we can. That's how business works. Repeat customers is what keeps you in business, and we thank y'all for that. But anyway, my voice is starting to go because of this coughing bug I got. I'm not sure where I got this coughing bug at. I mean, David Simpson's been coughing at work for 3 weeks. It couldn't have come from him. I don't think so, but either way, I'm getting to where I'm finna start coughing a lot, so I'm probably going to wrap it up. If anybody's got any more questions here real quick. This will actually be my quickest show ever. An hour and 20 minutes. The last one was an hour and 38 minutes. But I was going to do a show last week, but I've been in Daytona most of the week before, from Wednesday on, and when I got back, we didn't work Monday, and I went to work Tuesday, and thinking it was Monday. I was talking to someone on the phone Wednesday afternoon about 1, 2 o'clock, and he said, "You gonna do a show tomorrow night?" I went, "I'll do it Thursday." Oh crap, it's Wednesday. Time just completely got away from me. That's why I didn't do one last week. But I'm gonna try to get back on my, every 2-week schedule, if I can, because it's fixed to start getting to the busy time of the year. I've already got a lot of engines, sitting on the floor, sitting on the table, and a lot of orders for them. If it gets, too busy where I'm having to work really late at night, I may not get to do it every 2 weeks, but I'm gonna do what I can. Randy Martin, first time watcher. I appreciate it, man. I got to have repeat watchers too, just like repeat customers. That's what keeps business going. And speaking of engines, I hope this is the same David that I'm building two for. Your second engine should go on the dyno sometime this week. Your first one's sitting on the floor ready to go. I should have it ready to ship out maybe the middle of next week, because once it's dynoed, I do a leak down test and all that stuff on it, and that takes some time with all the other stuff I have to do. But you'll be getting your engines real soon, buddy. With porting the AKRA head, is there an increase in horsepower on the green and blue plate? There's an increase in power in all of them. I talked to a builder today. I have not done a red plate yet, and he was doing one, and we were talking about, should you port, should you not port? And I believe he done two different heads for it and found that the red did make a little more power. It was small, but it was a power gain. Like I said before, we're always looking for that extra tenth. So if it made, power on the red plate, it's going to do it on the other ones. And this guy I was just talking about here, David, I've got his plate engine sitting on the table, which will go on the dyno probably this weekend. I'm hoping to get it on there this weekend. It's going to be ported also. It's not going to be ported as extreme as an unrestricted wheel, but anytime you can help the air flow through the heads better or through the ports, you're going to get a better result. I didn't realize that was Portwood that asked that question. Glad you're getting involved there, buddy. Anyway, scroll back through here and see what we got. I think I got all those. And I will say, I've noticed in all my videos that for some reason I don't see all the questions. I'll see about 70-80% of them, and every single time when I stop the video and I go to post it, I go back and look at it, and I'll find 8, 9, 10 more questions that I didn't see. It ain't that I'm ignoring you, it's just that I can't see them. I've got quite a few here. That's why I keep going back through to make sure I get them. But if I don't answer you, I'm not ignoring you or something like that. It's just because technically I can't see them. And usually, well, every single time I go back after the video and scroll back through them to see what I missed, and I'll answer them, type the answer in. But before I completely lose my voice and start coughing real bad, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. Any questions, any further comments, likes, dislikes, whatever, so call me at the shop. We got an 800 number, 800-521-3560. You can shoot me an email at jody@arcracing.com, and that's JODY@arcracing.com. Of course, you can hit me up here on Facebook. Message me in here. I'll do what I can, to answer what you need. Yes, I see you, Dwayne Chance. I see you. I see both questions you put up there. It wasn't really a question. It was just saying, hey, I see you too, Shannon, and David, and Randy, and Gerald, David. But call us up, shoot us an email, whatever. We do whatever we can to offer the best customer service in the business. When you call our shop, you talk to a person. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of me and Hunter, but a person answers the phone. And when you email me or Hunter, we answer it. So we do our best just to have the best customer service, because again, the best customer service is what leads to repeat customers, and what leads us to keep our business going and providing the billet parts, the racing parts, and the the customer service that we get. So I just want to again say, thank you to everyone. Thank you all for, y'all's business, and we look forward to an exciting 2017. We've got some stuff coming up that we're hoping to release in the next month or so. I'm hoping I can take some of the stuff with me to the show in Ohio that, we're doing for the clone engines. And yes, we will be in Ohio. I'll be in Ohio February 4th, I believe it is, for the Ohio Valley karting show. And so if any of y'all are up there, stop by and see me. I'll have, a friend of mine in the booth with me that's going to bring some of his artwork that he builds up there, and he's a one of a kind at this kind of stuff. So I'm proud to have him running our stuff, and I'm proud to have him up there with me. And I'll tell you who it is. It's Wayne Felsey. Anybody that watches the UAS racing or has seen it on YouTube or whatever, follow the racing, y'all know who Wayne Felsey is. He's got the dual engine animal kart, and he's got something that's really, really cool that he's gonna bring up there and show everybody. Some people's already seen it. I'm not gonna talk about it now. Let you see it at the show. But he's gonna be there with me. Proud to have him. He's a friend of mine, real good guy. So y'all stop by up there at the show, talk to us, check out our parts, and I'm hoping to have some of the new releases that we're gonna have. They may not let me take them up there, but I'm gonna try to get some up there. But we got some stuff coming in the next month or so that y'all really gonna like. So again, thank you for your business. Thank you for watching tonight, and y'all have a good evening. Thank you.